Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truth Tellers Radio. That's truthtellersradio.blogspot.com. This is your interviewee today, J.M. Talboo. I am going to be passing the hosting mic to my friend Shane Cleer from Central Illinois Ghost Hunters. You can look them up on Facebook, very easy to find. As it relates to this program, please check out my website, undebunkingBigfoot.blogspot.com. This is Shane's first time hosting a show as opposed to being a guest, so cut him some slack. And with that, Shane, I will pass the mic to you to host the show.
All righty. Hey, everybody. My name is Shane. I'm going to give this a shot, so hopefully you enjoy it. So I am going to interview JM right now on his thoughts and theories and everything about Bigfoot. So I'll go ahead and start this. So welcome back to Truth Tellers Radio, the show where we dig into the mysteries mainstream media avoid UFOs, shadow governments, the paranormal, cryptids, and everything in between. And today we are stepping deep into the forest and deeper into the unknown because we're talking about Bigfoot. Joining me is a close friend and experienced Bigfoot researcher, someone who doesn't just talk about this subject, he actually lives it. He's been out in the field, he's actually told me stories, talked to witnesses, reviewed evidence, and formed his own theories after years of digging. So let's welcome the one, the only, JM.
Yay, the crowd goes wild. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and it's going to be like origins and personal experiences. So we'll start with what first got you interested in Bigfoot? I gravitated towards this stuff, I would say naturally, but my mother also did too, so that probably rubbed off on me a little bit. But once I got into second grade, I remember I can still, if I was there today, I could take you to the library in that school and show you right where the Bigfoot books are and the UFOs. And I used to sit there and debate, what was real or not with my friends. And it's funny now because when I think back on it, I specifically remember this picture of a Bigfoot stepping on a ridge in a mountain. And it was so obviously a costume from like a Halloween shop. And I was arguing at the time, no, that's got to be real. My buddy's like, no, dude, it's not, I swear. So started off rocky, gotten better over time. That's about it, man. It was off to the races from there.
And, was there a moment when you stopped being a skeptic, or were you always open to the possibility of Bigfoot?
I mean, I'm always open to possibilities, even if I'm skeptical of something. But the DNA evidence, the forensic evidence, and the footprint evidence is pretty clear-cut to me to say that, enough to say there's something that's real that's going on. It has a physical aspect, even if it's not completely physical all the time. We can get into that, I'm sure. But yeah, I think the weight of the evidence itself is what got me.
See, I can personally say I've never experienced a Bigfoot. I've never seen one. I've never heard one. But my oldest brother has seen Bigfoot. I'm probably going to have him call in to you at some point so he can tell you his story. And remember that truck driver video where remember when I told you they spotted a Bigfoot near me?
Yeah.
That was the same area where my brother seen Bigfoot in that same swamp. It's a marsh. It's a Banner Marsh is where it was, and it's made up of a whole bunch of like marshland and like a bunch of lakes and stuff. And that's where he encountered Bigfoot, and there was bystanders that were in their vehicles that actually stopped so it could cross the road, and it only took like 2 steps, and it was already across the road. So I'll have you interview him one day. It's actually pretty interesting. And have you ever had? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, have you ever had a personal encounter or a moment you couldn't explain?
I've never seen Bigfoot. I have found footprints, and they are rather large, bare-toed in areas where nobody should be doing that, right? So I've also had times I had one time when my car broke down on really, really backroads roads to where we had to wait 4 hours for AAA to come out and get us, and they were like, "What the hell are you doing out here?" And we didn't even mean to be out there. We got on a wrong turn. The car was, and all the houses there were just like people's cabins. You know, they would just use them, so there was nobody around to even help us. And we could swear there was rocks being thrown at us. And so there's nothing with opposable thumbs in the woods. You know, there's nothing that should be able to throw a rock except some types of primate. So, and like you said, I have talked to a lot of people that have seen it, including people, you know, like friends of the family and stuff like that. So, me and my mom have a mutual friend who her daughter swears up and down she saw this thing clear as day. So, and that's here in Pennsylvania. So, and then you had mentioned running across the highway. That happens all the time, but, you know, I don't know if everybody knows that power line routes usually go up right to major highways, and they are said to walk these power line routes at nighttime. And you could see how that would give them a lot of easy access to areas where there's food and different things, but they could also dip out very quickly, and the only time somebody would really see them besides, you know, if they were sneaking around where there's houses, is running across that highway. So it all makes perfect sense as far as that goes. Yeah.
I've got an off-topic question, too. Have you ever thought about keeping, like, a bag of, like, plaster in your vehicle in case you ever did run across any footprints and you can get plaster molds of it? I
do have some plaster. I've yet to be able to use it when I found a print. And that's the thing. See, I've had plaster before and then been in places where I couldn't even access what I had and didn't bring it with me. So, yeah, you know, it's good for people to know that. Like, you got to keep it with you at all times, basically. And if they want to know how to do it, my best suggestion is there is a wildlife field guide made by a company that makes wildlife field guides for all types of animals, and they have a very serious one about Sasquatch, and it's only about $10 online, I think. It's the Sasquatch Field Guide. Even if it was more, it's worth it. It's glossy. You could take it out to you with the field, and it won't get messed up, and it has detailed instructions on how to do casts. And speaking of casts, I was recently at a Bigfoot festival, got to talk to a lot of people there here in Pennsylvania, and they had a copy of the Bigfoot cast from the famous Patterson Gimlin film. They call that Sasquatch Patty because it's a female that has breasts clearly. So I will include images of that here as eye candy for the interview. So
very cool. Very cool
stuff. Yeah.
Now, how do you define Bigfoot? Flesh and blood, spiritual, interdimensional, something else? How do you define Bigfoot?
It obviously has a physical component because it leaves behind tracks and hair and all that stuff. But when you dig into all the literature on it, there's a lot of weird things that seem to go hand in hand with it. So there could be an entity that's able to be physical and non-physical at will. I don't know if that would mean that it's interdimensional or whatnot, but yeah, I think there's something more going on than just flesh and blood, but I think flesh and blood is definitely part of the equation.
Yeah, because I've heard people going to go chase after it when they seen it go into the woods, and then it just, like, disappears into nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Could have the ability to cloak. That's one possibility.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to get into the more paranormal aspects of it yet. We can probably, I'm sure that's probably in your questions there, but yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff going on with it.
Well, I just think with technology, I mean, thermal imaging drones and stuff, but, you know, he would be spotted a lot easier.
Yeah, or more often. I mean, there is good footage, and some of the best footage we're getting has came out recently. The problem is, because I have on the website, on the permanent top post, I have a page where I used to rank all the videos and pictures, you know, by most likely to least likely or known hoaxes, and I do invite people to check that out. It's a really good archive. But in recent years, I've just been posting videos that kind of recap all the videos of the year and don't kind of rank them, because with AI and all that stuff, we have no idea. Now you could have the best evidence in the world, and people are just going to say it's AI. So
exactly,
kind of a blessing and a curse. Yeah. But there have been times where people have seen cloaked entities, like cloaked entities that look very much like the Predator. There are reports of such things. And then we have all the missing 411 cases, you know, where people come up missing in national parks, and those kind of correspond with where cave systems are. So something else to keep in mind. Could be something that's basically underground most of the time, but just comes to the surface, perhaps to eat us.
Very,
I mean, they're generally
very
thought
true.
of. Yeah, they're generally thought of as peaceful, but I think it would be very much like people. Most people are good too. But some of us are sociopaths. So it just depends.
They're not here to make friends with us. I mean, so what's your favorite sighting report or case that convinced you something real is going on?
You have to take it back to Patty to this, that I think it was 1967. Then not only do they have physical evidence, but that film is pretty darn clear, especially for the time. And now we've been able to enhance it. You've got university studies of it, like Dr. Jeff Meldrum. He has one of the biggest footprints, if not the biggest footprint collection, and he's a anthropologist, and he's an expert in foot morphology and I think like the evolution of the foot over time. So he couldn't be more qualified for this subject, and he's convinced by the weight of the evidence. But they did a study where they actually hired people to walk naked to study how their skin moves and stuff like that, and the muscle movements that you're seeing with that are just impossible at the time. They didn't even have four-way stretch material like they have in movies and stuff now. At the time, the best they could do is like the Planet of the Apes, and go back and compare the two. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, there were scientists at the time that when they viewed this, they thought the debate was over. They're like, we got it. That's it. It will obviously be accepted as real now. But then there was a trackway. This trackway was studied. It was consistent, and like I said, they have casts. And it's a beautiful cast they have of that foot. So it's everything you would want. I mean, there's physical evidence. There's clear enough video to really ascertain if it's a hoax or not, and I think it stands up to this day.
Great. So let's dig deep into, like, evidence and field work. So, like, what kind of tools or equipment do you use when you go out in the field?
The best tool you can have is your brain to think ahead about what you're doing. Like you said, casts, you want to have that with you. But like the other day, I just went out. Like every time I take a walk in the Pennsylvania wilderness, it's a nature hike, but it's also a Bigfoot hunt. And you want to look for days where it's just rained, for instance, because that's when you're going to find footprints and good ones. You want to have a good camera with you, probably multiple ones, and other than that, it's just kind of experience getting out there. Like, for instance, here in Pennsylvania, you'll hear bucks fighting sometimes, and it's when they knock their horns together, it sounds like a tree knocked. So you just you got to learn what's what while you're out there, and it takes a lot of time to just do that. And I'm still learning all the time. So, and then a good stick. I had a walking stick the other day. I'm starting to make a series called Walking and Talking about Bigfoot, and I was talking about wood knocking, and I go and I knock my freaking really nice polished walking stick and broke the tip off of it. Oh my God. So yeah, it'd be good to have a good sturdy stick with you, because a lot of stuff that you use when tree knocking, like, it breaks upon impact. It's not that loud. A baseball bat, maybe a mini bat, stuff like that's good to have. So
true, because I had an experience where I thought it was a Bigfoot, but it turned out to be a deer. You know how deer, they make that like screech kind of scream? Yep. We were actually investigating at Indiana State Sanatorium, and we were walking out in front of the building to walk around the building, and we heard this scream, and then it did it 2 or 3 more times, and it echoed through the woods, and the hair on my freaking arms stood up. I had chills through my body, and I was like, that's a Bigfoot, that's a big. And then I did my research and found out that deer make that similar noise. So I debunked it.
So here's to that point. If you get, if you record stuff, and most of the time these days you're going to have audio and video stuff available all on your phone, So if you take audio recordings and you're curious about them, one thing you can do is check it against other animal noises online. Or there is a YouTube channel called Sasquatch Bioacoustic, and if you send it to them, they will analyze it and see if it's outside of human range to do or if it's an animal. So, and then if you find footprints and you cast them, and you get several, you could send one of the casts to Jeff Meldrum, and these major Bigfoot researchers will be more than happy to help out and analyze what you got.
So I have a good thing that you could probably try out when you're hiking through the woods. What if you were to strap a GoPro to the back of your head because no one ever really films behind them. You know,
right.
So you could have a Sasquatch following you. You could have one crossing the path behind you, but you don't see it. You hear it, but you don't see it. But if you had a camera strapped to the back filming behind you, the chances are probably a lot greater of capturing something.
That's very smart. You know, it seems like they're very much aware of trail cameras and whatnot. And plus, if they can see in a bigger spectrum than us, then they'll always be able to see that IR light, you know.
They're going to be like 3 steps ahead of you. They're going to be like 3 steps ahead of you.
Right, but so they like chocolate, apparently. So if you were to put some chocolate behind you, that's enough of a distraction, too, where they might not notice the camera on the back of your head. Plus, it's not an IR camera, I don't think, so they might not be able to spot it. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, just something I just thought of. So then how do you approach evidence collection? What separates real data from, like, noise?
Well, I mean, there's people that take pictures of mud puddles and think it looks like a footprint. It may or may not be. You don't want anything that's ambiguous. You want to get it as tight and, you know, top-notch as you can. So, and like I said, you just throw it at other people that can tell you if you really got something or not.
Right. Send it to more than just one person.
Yeah, and try to find the top experts. I mean, people think sometimes that these big major researchers won't engage with you. I guarantee you they will.
Oh, for sure. Just like UFO people, you know, they want all the evidence that they can get to go over. So,
yeah, and if they ignore you, it's probably because you didn't have something. You know what I mean?
No,
if you send it and don't get a reply, yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. So.
Yep. So what do you make of the tree structures, the bends, the stick signs, people reports, and like those like teepee-looking like houses that people find in the woods? Do you think those are like man-made, or do you actually think those are made by like a Sasquatch?
It has to be one or the other, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I always take things back to statistical probability. It only takes one of those things to not be made by man for us to have a conundrum. But also, there are things when trees fall over naturally, it'll kind of look like that sometimes. So you got to look up and see if there's breaks that make sense with a storm and things like that. And yeah, I've found stuff like that too. But I don't know if it's teenagers out messing around the woods or something else. You know, so it's a piece of the puzzle, but by itself, not much to speak of. You know what I mean? The more remote area, then yeah, that gets to be more interesting, because there's some people that find stuff like that in areas where there really shouldn't be anybody else, or there's not anybody living for hundreds of miles, like out in the Pacific Northwest and things like that.
And that would be a good place to set up a trail cam.
Oh, absolutely.
You know. So, like, what's the weirdest sound that you've personally recorded or heard, like, secondhand in the field?
I've heard things that sounded like screaming and things that sounded like whoops and whatnot, but again, I've tried to record them, and on regular recording equipment, it's very difficult. So that is something else. It's not. I haven't focused on that as much, but getting really good sensitive recording equipment is how you're going to get those type of sounds. But I will say most of the time when you whoop or whatever, I don't get a response. You know, I was in an area where I had traveled very, very far to go buy a pet rat, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, and I stopped because we thought we were hearing something, and it sounded like screaming and whatnot. And then my girlfriend and her daughter swear they saw a Sasquatch behind the car. I didn't see anything. I just took off when they said that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, because they were screaming at me, go, 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 go. And I'm like, me personally, I would have just sat there probably. If it wrecks my car, I'm going to get footage of it doing it. But I don't know. They might have just been freaking out because they were scared, and people's minds play tricks on them. I have no idea. But yeah, I've heard some things, but I can't say for sure. Now, as far as hearing things, I was just going to say, as far as hearing things that others have collected, there's very good acoustical evidence for sure.
See, but that goes like me being a ghost hunter with audio stuff. It's hard for me to listen to other people's EVPs because I personally did not capture them, and I know how easily like recordings can be faked. You know,
but here's the difference with Bigfoot. The difference with Bigfoot, though, is that we get things that are outside of human range that are definitely not animal sounds. So with an EVP, somebody could fake that and you wouldn't know. You know, they just whisper something into the mic and say there was a ghost there. But yeah, that is why I personally wanted to do it too. When you really get an EVP, it's not just TV anymore. You know what I mean? Like it hits home a lot more. You're like, holy crap, yeah, they're not lying all the time at least.
Yeah, and other people may think you're faking it, but deep down inside you didn't. You know, but another thing that would be cool to try out and to experiment with is getting a digital recorder. And if you know of a hot spot of where Bigfoot's been spotted, hide a digital recorder overnight and just press record and just leave overnight.
Yeah, I was tempted to not say anything in the case I sound crazy, but I swear I just heard being said like right before you spoke, and it wasn't me. I don't know if it was an echo or something, but I'm going to bookmark that. We might have got an EVP on this interview.
Oh, that's cool.
It sounded like like real low. So I don't know. We'll see if we can find it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think I had said that, but the thing is, EVPs sometimes repeat you. I don't know if you've noticed that. Have you ever had one repeat what you say?
I can't recall it.
Okay, I've had it though.
But I know I have talked to my buddy on the phone before and heard stuff coming through the frequencies.
Yeah, I was in the Shawshank Redemption prison. I don't know what it's. I think it's Eastern State, or I'm not sure, but it's the one where they filmed that movie. And I had said the word I said there must be a lot of people who come through here, and then the EVP he goes people. So it repeats it in like a phonetic way, like it's like just saying what I said. I don't even know if it's an understanding of what I said or not. You know.
So like how is that possible though?
It's got to be something paranormal, you know.
Like, because I can't. I have so many EVPs. I have done thousands and thousands of recordings, and I can't say I've ever had that happen where I would say something and it would repeat. I know we did the Masonic Lodge. We did a Masonic Lodge before, and I was sitting on a chair, and it called me a bad name. Clear as day, it called me a bad name.
You know? See, when I asked you about it, I thought it must be more common because I've experienced it. And I've done a lot, too. I've been doing this for a long time. But I think there was one other time that happened, too. But when you get an intelligent response, you know, and then that's one thing, and that's top-notch. But I think repeating, it's also a sign of intelligence.
Yeah, it's mimicking. It's mimicking.
I have that one on tape, though. It's on video. So I made a video about it that includes that EVP. So I'll actually tack it on at the end of this interview. I'll tack it on at the end of this interview, and everybody can listen. Yeah.
Yeah, send it to me. That'd be kind of cool. For sure. All right, so let's get back on track. So do you think Bigfoot like buries their dead? Is that why we never find like skeletal remains? But then again, I mean, I heard that one of the TV guys, I forgot his name.
Matt Moneymaker?
No, there's a TV show. This guy goes out in the wild, and he came across.
Oh, Les Stroud.
Yeah, he came across Stroud, like the head, the head. What do you think of that? You think that's a legit Bigfoot head that he found, like partially buried in mud?
I'm not aware of it. You'll have to put me up to speed on that one.
Okay.
But yeah, if they are like, say they're a Gigantopithecus, for instance, which like a lot of the just flesh and bone researchers believe, yeah, they would be smart enough to bury their dead. However, there are a lot of videos regarding this subject that show just how fast decay happens and how much scavengers come and get stuff. I mean, we haven't found most of those missing 411 people, and we know right about where they were, for instance. So it's very hard to find that stuff regardless. And there have been things found. There's like a tooth that's in one of the Bigfoot museums and different things. There's little small pieces here and there. The Buddhists have what they say are Yeti scalps at the top of their head with the cone. So they regard it as sacred, so they don't really allow any investigation of it. But yeah, that stuff does exist out in Tibet or the Himalayas, wherever it is.
Yeah, I heard of that, scalping the heads. I've actually seen that before. So how do you get witness testimonies with red flag? Like, what red flags do you look for like testimony?
I mean, if it goes against something that you know is not very common, if it's out of the ordinary, you have to put it in its own little box and just kind of sit it aside until you maybe hear something else that's similar, you know. But other than that, I mean, obviously you want to find cases where there's corroborating evidence or corroborating witnesses. That's much better. There have been people pass lie detector tests and say they saw Bigfoot, so they really believe they did, and you know, and maybe they did. I've seen that. There was one program where there was at least I think 3 people that came out as they were telling the truth on a lie detector test.
Yeah, that's cool. So, like, we've kind of talked about this, but has technology like drones, thermal cams, or AI made any difference in modern Bigfoot research?
I don't know that AI has made a difference yet, but I can anticipate that it will. And, you know, you just even bringing that up, there's ways I should be incorporating AI into that. For instance, you can throw pictures at AI and ask it if it seems like it's out of the ordinary. You know, it can analyze that kind of stuff for you. ChatGPT at this point in time has an IQ of 155. Einstein was 160. So if we're not, and they were saying in 2 months, it might be 10 times as smart, which means it would be like Einstein trying to explain relativity theory to the dumbest person on Earth. Like, it's going to know things to where even if it talks to you about it, you're not going to get it. So I can't imagine the improvements that'll make in everything. I mean, we could be sitting here and not knowing that we're going to be able to live to 200 years old or something. Like, the technologies that it's going to come up with for reversing aging and everything. So, yeah, I mean, if you got a signal, I would take ChatGPT in the field, and you could run stuff by it in real time. Obviously, all the other tech is amazing, and I don't know, you know how fast cell phones improve. So I'm assuming that IR technology is leaps in the bounds of where it was before. I don't use it very much myself. I used to use it for ghost hunting a lot, but that was more when I did groups. As a solo investigator, I just kind of keep it simple. So you might be able to answer that more than me, because I know you guys make equipment and whatnot, so you're more on top of that than I am.
Yes, and something that's even better is full spectrum. You have your full spectrum light, which is better than IR, but I don't see why they don't make the GoPros and the Insta360 cameras and all that. I don't see why they don't make those with IR capabilities. I just don't get it.
Seem like you'd want that.
Yeah, because so people can film at night.
It's marketed more towards like people on their bikes and people out on the water. It's kind of a marketing thing, probably. But yeah, if you guys could design something like that, that'd be great. you could probably patent that, awesome. Make bucks.
I mean, but you can do it though. If you change, all you have to do is change the lens in the camera.
Okay.
So they usually have a coded lens in front of the sensor. So if you take that coded lens out and you replace it with just a clear lens, it'll shoot IR, or should shoot with IR. So they actually do make they make lenses for the GoPros that you can buy, and they're not cheap. Okay. But I've got one or two of them.
As far as the Bigfoot researcher, the thermal stuff, if you go to the video and image page, which I'll have a video, a bunch of sources for people to look in the description. There are thermal videos and pictures that have been shot to where obviously we wouldn't have got those in the past, and they're good enough to where, like, one of them is it's from Finding Bigfoot, but they compare it to Bobo. They have him in the same spot, and he's a huge guy, and this thing is way bigger than him, and that was caught with thermal. So
very cool. And we've already talked about this a little bit, but what do you think about the Patterson Gremlin film? You think it's still legit?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know what I have to add about that. I mean, I think I kind of covered it premature, but yeah, it still holds up to this day. You know, the skeptics, I'll say this, they've tried to recreate it, and that's something else you can find on my website. It's probably on that page, and their recreation was done by a guy who claimed that he was the one in the suit, which he's not tall enough, first of all. You know, he can't mimic the gait, the way it is, and everything else. But when they tried to put him in the suit, it looks ridiculous. It's laughable. So.
Well, and the suit's got to be like skin tight too, for it to even be legit.
I mean, you can see muscles and stuff. They can even see what they think is a on the leg. They think she has a hernia, like a bulging muscle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure about a hernia, some type of injury, you know.
Oh wow,
that's the word for it, but yeah, it's a muscular issue. You can see that she's having. You can see all the muscles in her body. Everything is perfect. There's no way, and you got to put it. You got to put it in the context of the time that it was taken too. You know.
Oh yeah, I believe it for sure. So, is there any physical evidence, hair prints, etc., that's been compelling to your?
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, we basically already talked about that too. So.
No, we didn't. I got a lot to say about it actually. The DNA evidence is so amazing. Now, there was a woman named Melba Ketchum who did a DNA study. She had a lot of good samples. And she is a geneticist. She's an expert in her field. There's no reason to think that she should be so incompetent as the skeptics of her say that she is. She came to the conclusion that it was half human, half something else. Okay, and every time that other researchers will get, because they have it in their head that it's Gigantopithecus or whatever, right? And so if they find human DNA, they always assume that that's contamination. Her study suggests that it's not contamination at all. There is human DNA there. Now, she tried to get the data banks to accept a novel sample, but they didn't want to do that because, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's controversial. They didn't want to do it. She had blind labs study these samples. They came up to the conclusions they came up with, but once they find out they're involved, they don't want any part of it. She tried to get it peer reviewed and just kept having problems. And the thing, I think I have a one-up on a lot of these Bigfoot researchers when it comes to this because of my studies into 9/11 conspiracy type stuff. Because there is more peer-reviewed science to indicate that 9/11 was an inside job than to indicate it was the official story. But when you dig into the struggles that they've had trying to get published, people look at the peer review process as some holy thing that's devoid of normal problems of corruption and political influence and nepotism and whatever. It has all those problems and more. Like it's one of the best methods we have, but it's only as good as the people doing a review, and it's only as good as their courage, which is very low in the scientific community. When you depend on grants, when you're trying to get tenure, you don't want to touch anything with a 10-foot pole that's controversial. So when you dig into her studies, I believe there's something there. One big supporter of hers is George Knapp, the reporter who's a Coast to Coast AM host. And I invite people to go and look up Melba Ketchum interviews on Coast to Coast AM with George Knapp, and you decide if you think she's got something with that study or not. Now, aside from that, there's a dozen or more that I'm aware of samples that come up unknown primate. They get at least enough DNA to show that. So that's very interesting. Now, with the footprints, they have dermal ridges, okay? And there's a footprint expert there's a dermal ridge expert who has put people in jail because of his knowledge of fingerprints and that kind of stuff. And he is also an expert in primate dermal ridges. And he says we're absolutely dealing with something real. Something else is that a Bigfoot footprint, a real one, will often have a little ridge right in the middle of it. I don't know if you've noticed that, like a little hill right in the middle. That is called a mid-tarsal break. That's called a mid-tarsal break, and what that is mid-foot flexibility, to where, you see other primates hang onto a tree with their foot. We can't do that because we don't have this. But it seems like Bigfoot does, and that's why it's able to run up a hill as fast as it does. It's gripping the hill in a way that we can't. So, yeah, I think the forensic evidence is very strong.
So do Bigfoots climb trees too?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
I don't really hear too many of people seeing Bigfoot in a tree.
There's some accounts, and it would. There's enough accounts to say that they have that ability and do it sometimes. I wonder how many times people walk around and don't see one up in a tree. There's also a video from New York of what seems to be a baby Bigfoot in a tree, and that it crawls down and gets on the back of a bigger one.
Now, have you ever been?
Go
All
ahead.
right. Have you ever been scared while out researching, either by the environment or something you couldn't see?
Yeah, you got to be on your toes, yeah. But more than, like, if you get, it's like I'll explain it like this. Like, I told you I'd heard screaming from this area that was haunted before, and then later I thought, oh my God, what if that was just a regular person? Like, the paranormal is paranormal because it doesn't happen that often. So if you hear a woman screaming in a haunted location, you might want to think that there might be some woman under duress there. When I'm out and about, like here in Pennsylvania, we have mountain lions, we have copperheads, we have ticks.
Oh,
like those are the things you want to be worried about first. But yeah, so just the dark and when you can't see as well as other things that are out there, yeah, it can be a little unnerving. I like to do a lot of my hiking and stuff in the daytime, just looking for evidence more than trying to get a sighting. But there are people that see them during the day. I mean, the Gimlin footage was daytime, but it does seem like that more often than not they're nocturnal. And then there's this idea that they have what they call sentinels, ones that'll watch out for the ones that are nearby while they're sleeping.
Huh. Very interesting. So let's talk about like theory and territory now. So, do you think Bigfoot is an undiscovered humanoid or something more paranormal?
I'm inclined to think it's something more paranormal, but this is a nuanced thing. So there's a researcher here who's well known that I interviewed named Stan Gordon here in Pennsylvania, and he collects evidence where it's Bigfoot sightings in close relation to UFO sightings, or sometimes they're intermingled even. There's this one where there's a farmhouse and the people had seen a Bigfoot, and then they see a UFO right in the same area, and then they see a Bigfoot running with a ball of light in its hand. Linda Moulton Howell, who's a well-known researcher. She documents times when Bigfoot's been shot at, and then the bullets just don't seem to do anything, or it disappears after being shot. And, that one case is just one of Stan's. He has a lot of cases to where, you might say that they're statistically insignificant, but when you look at the details of the cases kind of stand on their own merits. So the only other option here, though, is that we might have some phenomena pretending to be other phenomena. And if that's going on, if there's a masquerading thing, boy, does that make things difficult. It could be UFOs disguising themselves or implanting memories in people of seeing a Bigfoot when it was really something else. And that gets into to even entertain that, then you have to get into the whole alien abduction field, which is a totally different interview. But, I think there's validity to that research as well. So, and they do have the ability to have people have screen memories. So you have to wonder about that. But the elusiveness of this thing plus the paranormal evidence kind of suggests that might be because it does have that paranormal aspect going on. It's interesting to note that the natives thought it was a spiritual creature, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them. And then there's like places like Skinwalker Ranch where Bigfoot are sighted, UFOs are sighted, other cryptids are sighted, poltergeist activity. This also might suggest something bigger, too, that we're dealing with, that this is evidence that we're in a simulation, that these are like glitches or little hints. Or it could be that there's some kind of non-human intelligence that might be responsible for a lot of the paranormal phenomena that we experience, and that it's just this intelligence that's able to masquerade as whatever it wants, present itself however it wants. There's whole lines of research on this where people kind of show that cultural expectations start to change what people see as far as UFOs and things like this, that there's a consciousness aspect to the UFO phenomenon. Jacques Vallée is one to look for with that kind of stuff. He's an older man, but been doing it forever, and he just recently had an interview on the Joe Rogan podcast, so that's also somewhere that I would direct people to go dig into that kind of stuff a lot deeper, and Stan Gordon as well.
Nice. Very interesting. So why do so many sightings also involve UFOs, or, you just talked about this, involve UFOs, orbs, or time distortion?
Time distortions are really interesting, aren't they? Missing time, yeah, that's another indicator that we're dealing with something real. I don't know if there's been any missing time when it comes to Bigfoot sightings. That's an interesting inquiry. There might be. I'll look into that.
Right.
But, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yep. And then have you looked into the cloaking or the portaling reports?
Yeah. Now, as far as portals and stuff like that, I don't know if people have seen like portals necessarily, but I think they've seen things. And there probably are some reports like that. I just can't think of anything offhand, but people do see them like kind of disappear and appear out of nowhere. One guy has a video where he's like in a park in like New York, to where it's not like, I don't think it's New York City, but it's not a area that's like huge wilderness. There shouldn't be a Bigfoot there, but he sees something materialize. And then what was the question again?
Oh, have you looked into the cloaking or portaling?
Okay, the cloaking. I said, yeah. So the cloaking. Then Dr. Bruce Maccabee is a well-known physicist who analyzes. He used to analyze. I think he's an optical physicist. I'm not sure, but he analyzes pictures. So he used to work for the military doing that kind of thing, and then he's been researching UFOs forever. And his wife had seen a cloaked predator-looking type thing moving from tree to tree, to where she said all of the birds and the crickets and everything was quiet, and that's often reported. Just everything just gets quiet. And then on that, she took some photos. They didn't come out correctly, but they came out weird, to where he showed that like the aspect ratio of it wasn't even possible on her camera, and there's weird streaks of light. And then that same night, people had seen a UFO above the high school football field for whatever was going on.
Huh. I've got a interesting question too that's not on my list. So do you think like when Bigfoot makes eye contact with you that you are now targeted? You know how they
people
like say that with things?
People talk about mind speak and stuff too, like they're telepathic. And as far as audio evidence, just to throw that in real quick, there's been language detected by cryptolinguists within some of these recordings. Some of the recordings, they sound like, it sounds like they call it samurai chatter, but they say they detected language within that. But yeah, I mean, there's people that have seen it, and then they start to see it more and more, and then they seem to develop some type of relationship. So I'm not opposed to the idea.
They say that with UFOs also. They say like if you see a UFO that you'll start seeing them more frequently.
Hey, I could attest to that. I've seen 4 or 5 or so.
I know one for sure. I have seen one.
Yeah, I definitely have. I'll leave that for another podcast. But yeah, I've seen some, and I've seen twice with witnesses. So
that
always helps to not know that you're not crazy. Yeah. And I also had one fly over. I had the triangle type fly over the highway and turned my car off with a witness.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
If you go looking for stuff, just remember, people, if you go looking for stuff, you might find it, and it's not. Some doors can't be closed. So
that's just like the paranormal. If you go out and search for it, you're gonna get what you ask for. I mean, it might not be good. So
right.
Now, do you think Bigfoot could be guarding like sacred ground, like ley lines and dimensional weak spots and stuff like that?
I mean, that's kind of on the fringes even for me, but who knows? They were these entities that were revered as spiritual, entities in the native kind of thought process about it. And then there's a lot of people that they think of it as like the spirit of the trees or the spirit of the forest. Isn't that an interesting thought? That maybe it materializes, but it's really just the consciousness of the green. You know what I mean? Kind of like Swamp Thing or something like that. That's a really interesting thought. And it kind of is that metaphorically, at least, not literally, but like I always point out to people that you go looking for Sasquatch, and what you'll find every time is nature, and it's amazing. So it's worth it no matter what. If it gets people out there just to experience nature, I think that's worth it all just because of that. I found poppy plants the other day. I see all kinds of crazy dead animals and things you might not want to see, but trying to think. Just, you might find a little waterfall, just all kinds of crap that, it's just amazing. Other wildlife, just seeing other wildlife.
Yeah, and did you say earlier that they have or haven't found, well, you said they found DNA. So if they found DNA, can't they trace that back like they do with dinosaurs and be able to tell you, how long Bigfoots have been around? How long have they been here on Earth?
I think she might have some theorizing about that in her original paper. The problem is that she got criticized so much for the way she approached it and what she says she found that I don't think anybody's doing a lot of follow-up research, and I know she's dissuaded it from doing it herself just because she doesn't want being ostracized and criticized all the time. So it's unfortunate, but
see, that's sad. We have to live that type of world now. Where opinions are frowned upon.
Right. So, it's not even just opinions. She's an expert, and you have people that aren't throwing shade at her. It's like, she should get some kind of respect right off the bat just for what her training. That's what her job was full time. Her full time job is a geneticist in a lab testing things. It's like she might know what she's doing, guys.
That's like telling a doctor he's wrong. But he just saved your life, but yet he's wrong. It's like.
The medical industry is one that they do ignore a lot of stuff, but it's for a lot of the same reasons that I've already brought up with academia.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, at a lot of times there's going to be times where you should probably listen to the doc. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Me personally, I don't like taking experimental things just because the government's supposed to do it. But there were a lot of medical people that were against that too, and then their voices are very often silenced. And so it's fine to listen to experts, but it's not fine to only listen to isolated groups of experts.
Right.
And you do got to remember that in jury, when we do trials and stuff, regular people get to judge scientific evidence. So we shouldn't be out of the conversation just because we're laymen.
Very true. And they get DNA and everything else. So. So do you think these creatures have telepathic or extrasensory abilities?
Yeah, and I'll address that. But so what I just said might seem like a contradiction of terms, but it's not, because I was thinking about it. It's like I can see how some people might take it. It's like, yes, laymen are part of the conversation, but you do got to respect expertise. It's both. It's not either or. It's a nuanced thing. But the way that I've seen her attacked, I think a lot of it is just pile on. You know what I mean? Where expertise is out the window. It's just she's a black sheep, so throw shade at her. I think there's a lot of groupthink going on, and that's not good. You always want to be an individual in the conversation, not part of some collective. The telepathic stuff, there's a lot of reports of it, a whole bunch. And some of the stories get really goofy, so you don't know what to believe, But yeah, I try to meditate and think sometimes and see if I can, make some kind of contact. I have not. So I can't say with any certainty, but it's a possibility. You would think that if you're out there in the woods and you kind of thrive in environments that aren't like human civilization type stuff, that you would develop skills that we maybe have in us that are dormant. For instance, the telepathy tapes. If you've seen the telepathy tapes, they make a good case that these nonverbal autistic children are telepathic. It's a documentary and a podcast. So it's pretty interesting.
Oh, wow. See, and this next question kind of goes with technology. You know how, technology has been improving. So, why is there almost never a clear photo? Is it, coincidence or something else?
Well, it has to do a lot with how slick this thing is, first and foremost. Secondly, it's hard to get photos of things. If you're out in the field and you see things, you probably experienced this with ghost hunting.
Oh, yeah.
if something happens quick and you take a picture even while it's happening, you only get that one chance and you got a blur. You think about when you try to take a picture of yourself, people when they take selfies, they'll take 20 pictures before they pick one they like. And it's a lot of blurriness and it's hard to get good pictures. It's not as easy as people think. But there has been a lot of stuff recently like that I haven't even included in any of my archives and stuff. Like there's a Bigfoot leaning against a tree, eating something and turns and looks at the sky. It's clear as day. So it's
I
like,
think I may have seen that.
Yeah, and there's been a lot. There's some recent pictures where there's Bigfoot by a clothesline, and I do have that in the archives, and its face is clear as day. I mean, it's clear as day. You can even see, the reflection in its eyes, and you can see that from one picture to the next that its lip is moved. So that would be a very elaborate hoax. So we are starting to get more stuff like that.
Right.
So, but
have you ever
the problem is AI. That's the big problem.
Yep. Exactly. So have you ever heard of people like going missing in the same areas as Bigfoot has been sighted?
Well, like I said, the cave systems overlap with a lot of the missing people. As far as like any direct evidence that Bigfoot is responsible for the missing 411 stuff, there's not much. There is one case though where people said they saw some type of animal that it looked like it had the kid over its shoulder. So that case in particular, there could be a connection there. But a lot of people go missing, period. So, and we do not find most of them. So, David Politis, the Missing 411 series, that's definitely worth checking out.
Oh, yeah. So is there a chance that Bigfoot is a tulpa? Something we manifested into, TULPA?
People see Slender Man. One interesting point I always make about this is like you believe in Slender Man but not Jesus then? Because like if you think of tulpamancy, Jesus and Santa Claus would very much have some kind of real aspect to them just because so much energy has been put into it, whether it's started off as real or not. And so to think that could be part of the equation, I don't think it's the whole equation. I don't think tulpas leave behind physical evidence. But there have been times where people have seen, I've experimented with tulpamancy myself, by the way. But there have been times where other people have seen a tulpa that somebody else created. And there was a guy he wrote the stories called The Shadow. I don't know if it was books or like a comic. Wasn't into it, never really got into it, but I'm kind of peripherally aware of it. But in the building where he would type all those stories, after he died, people started seeing like the character. So pretty interesting stuff. I'm very interested in simulation theory, and so I think about things like, like Charles Dickens writes Scrooge, and then Scrooge is a character in his universe that his mind has created. What if that's what we are in the mind of God? So
very true. Yeah, and I was watching a Paranormal Caught on Camera, and they captured this like cryptid that was like crawling underneath a bridge.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's very compelling.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy. I mean,
yeah, it's a good show. I have some friends like Justin. You and I and Justin did a show before. He's way critical of it, but I think there is some stuff on there that's definitely real. And then other times there's stuff that's not. But it's fun to look at it regardless, and it does give you that juxtaposition between real and fake evidence. You can see it in real time on that show.
Oh yeah, they had a guy on that was claiming that he had paranormal activity in his house, and they actually had one of his episodes on Paranormal Caught on Camera. And this guy actually did come out and confess that he faked his video.
Oh, I'd love to see you have to send me that. I want to see which video it was.
The Ben and Laney. It's Ben and Laney is the people.
Yeah.
But he still has.
Send it. If you have it, though, send it to me. I'd love to see that. Yeah.
For sure. He got called out by Beardo. Beardo gets scared. He got called out by Beardo, and then he finally just gave in and then he was showing people how he made the videos.
Right.
So not only did he say,
I can make fake stuff.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give the fakers a tip out here. You want to make a fake ghost picture? Take some baking powder, clap it into the air, and take a picture, and you'll get something that looks like an entity a lot of times. Yeah, I mean, putting dust in the air and getting fake orbs, it's easy to do. Very easy to do. But it's good to know that. And as a paranormal investigator, I think we should experiment with doing that stuff ourselves, because then when we can see what we're capable of, then you'll know what's possible.
Oh, for sure. Now, what do you think of people who've claimed to receive messages or dreams from Sasquatch?
Oh man, that's really fringy, isn't it?
No, yeah.
I don't know. The message is more so than the dreams. Yeah, I mean, dreams are significant. I guess if you had a dream, like if you're an alien abductee, for instance, and you have dreams about aliens, then there might be something more to your dream. You see what I mean? So if you've had real life experiences that are documentable and then you dream about it, but at the same time, Bigfoot would be on your brain if you've seen one or whatever. So if there's a connection or not, we don't really understand dreams very well, and there's a lot of weird stuff about them. So it's possible, but I don't know about probable.
Well, if I ever seen Bigfoot, I'll never forget it. Just like I've been grabbed by a demon before, I'll never forget that, ever. I'll take that to my grave.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in some of our previous episodes.
Yeah,
there's some
episodes
you guys can listen to where Shane has detailed a lot of his paranormal research, past episodes of this show.
Well, and could we be dealing with multiple entities like forest giants, ape-like cryptids, and spirits all being called Bigfoot?
Yeah, for sure. You think about like the swamp ape in Florida. It seems to have different characteristics. So does southern Bigfoot. There's similarities, but there's differences. So it could be because there's low populations and there's inbreeding. There's some evidence of that here, where Stan Gordon got a 3-toed footprint that seemed legit, but it's either deformed or inbred or something like that. But yeah, so there does seem to be different type of creatures that are very similar being reported. And then you've got stuff in other countries, the Yeti, the Yowie in Australia, the Russian, I forget what they call it. There seems to be some slight differences here and there, but then there's all the paranormal evidence, which indicates something could be masquerading as something else, and you got to throw in hoaxes into the mix. Yeah, it's a big pile of things going on, and there could be other cryptids. People describe Dogman. Well, some people think that Dogman is really just misinterpreted Sasquatch sightings, but what if it's not? Then some people could be seeing the Dogman and not a Sasquatch, and it depends on the conditions in which they see it. So that is the problem, is that it's not black and white at all. There's a lot going on. It's a whole big, crock pot full of stew.
I wanna add another question to this. So do you think it's possible that a cryptid could breed with a Bigfoot?
From what we know about how things breed, it's unlikely, right? I mean, we share so much DNA with a chimpanzee, but yet we can't breed with them. That's why when I think about the alien abduction phenomena again, I think they must be related to us very directly somehow, like there are future us or something, because we're apparently genetically compatible. Of course, that could be because they have advanced technology.
But the aliens are more interested in us as we are interested in them, like probing us and doing experiments on us. And so it's like if we were, like, because they're so much more advanced than we are, so why would they want to be experimenting with us? You think it'd be the other way around?
I think it's a spiritual thing with them. I think that we have a soul and they don't, or they've lost it. Like there is a theory that I have this theory, a personal one of mine, where I try to bring all the theories into one, which is there's people think it's time travelers, extraterrestrials, future humans, or demons, and I say it can be all of those things. What if it is future humans who have lost their soul because they've integrated with AI too much and become synthetic beings, so that makes them by definition somewhat demonic, right? And then they travel through space at high speeds, which makes them time travelers, because to travel through space is to travel through time. If they go and colonize other worlds and then come back to Earth, then they are by definition extraterrestrials as well, but we have a common source. So that would make sense of all the evidence. It would mean that everybody's right, but the infighting doesn't let them see the forest through the trees.
Right.
But when we're talking cryptids, though, I mean, there are some animals that can produce offspring, and sometimes it's a one-off, like when we get a donkey, right, or Is that right? What is it? Yeah. Aren't they? They can't reproduce, but they're the product of two other animals. Is that right? I think that's right. But there are cases like that where two existing animals can have an offspring. They make another animal, but then that animal cannot reproduce. And if that's the case, that might explain why sometimes we seem to have these one-off cryptids. You see what I'm saying?
Is that like the chupacabra?
Yeah, maybe that's what we got with something like that, Or the chupacabra might be some kind of, because there have been animals shot that kind of look like dogs, but they look very, very strange. So they could kind of be some kind of offshoot, People think of evolution as like a straight line, but it's not. It's a bush, So you do have sometimes these off-branching forms of life that don't last that long or are almost one-offs to some extent.
Oh, yeah. All right. So what do you think native tribes have such similar legends of hairy man or forest people?
Well, it would indicate they're talking about something real. They put them on totem poles, and then there's depictions where they have masks that look like an ape, and they had never seen or even heard of an ape, And then, like, you think about that, like China, for instance, think about this. Their calendar has all real animals except one, the dragon. Why did you put a mythical beast, supposedly, in with all these other real things? So, yeah, I think when people document stuff like that, they don't just have a flight of fancy intertwined into everything else that's real. That doesn't make sense to me. So, yeah,
right.
I think it speaks to the reality of this for sure.
True.
And then think about it, people are seeing something that the natives said was there. How many people saw that in the 1950s and had no idea the natives believed in such a thing?
Yeah, you'll never know.
But I mean, like, anybody that had seen a Bigfoot-type creature and didn't know that Native Americans said that there was something like that, then that wasn't their influence. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus,
sure.
What does the whole world know about Native influence anyway? That's the fact that the only other explanation is that a big hairy man is so much in our collective unconscious that it's an archetype that people see. That is something that's put out there. But again, archetypes don't leave behind footprints, do they?
No. And you would think, like, basically we're taking over nature's land, to build. We're building on nature's land. So you think that there would be more spottings of Bigfoot also, right? If we're taking more and more forest land or just land in general?
That has been noticed, though when they encroach on lands, people do see things a lot of times. So,
like in their backyard or along the wood line or...
Well, I think even when they got some of the original footprints that they got, that was at construction sites where they were doing logging and stuff. So,
oh, wow.
It seems that they had ran right into it at that point, even back in the 50s.
Huh. Now, are there Bigfoot-like reports in other parts of the world that you find compelling?
I haven't dug into that stuff as much, but I know there's a lot of researchers that seem like for instance, in Australia, there's dedicated researchers to the Yowie, things like that. I've looked at it just a bit. There is a Yowie picture that was really good that made it into my ranks as being likely. I do know that. And there's also a Russian one. So,
oh wow,
I have looked at a little bit, and yeah. So if people go check out those links, it's not all exclusive to America.
Very
Again,
cool.
it'll be in the video description.
Right. Do you think the government's hiding any knowledge about any of these cryptids or Bigfoots or make-believe creatures or anything for that matter?
In some sense, the government admits that it's real because there's a lot of states that have it as a protected animal. It's in field guides and stuff like I mentioned. But also, you look at the missing 411 stuff, and they are definitely covering that up and playing hardball. Like he's a former detective, and he has such a hard time getting records from them about missing persons. They were trying to charge him millions of dollars. Sometimes they said they don't keep databases like that, and and he catches them in blatant lies and all kinds of stuff. And so yeah, there's definitely some kind of stonewalling going on with the missing 411 stuff. And then you'll find a lot of stuff online where there's testimonies where people say, yeah, we were hired to go hunt cryptids and hunt Sasquatch. I don't know if any of that's true, but I have seen it. So it's an open question, I suppose.
Right. Yes, well, no, I mean, the government's starting to release more about UFOs. They were hiding that for years, and now they're starting to, let UFOs...
A lot of that's
information
because people were, rogue people, though, you know what I mean? The higher-ups probably didn't want a lot of that to happen, but their hand has been forced. So, hey, if you've ever worked on a team as a government agent hunting Sasquatch, blow the whistle. Go to WikiLeaks.
Now, has the scientific community failed the public by refusing to investigate this, seriously?
Not the elements of it that have investigated seriously, but as a whole, yes. But Jeff Meldrum, like I mentioned before, he's at university still. He still teaches and he has tenure, and he wrote a book called Sasquatch, or what is it called? I think it's called Sasquatch Meets Science or something like that, or it's called Bigfoot Legend Meets Science or something like that. But yeah, so there's been academic work on it from the scientific community. So we have to appreciate what there is. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are armchair skeptics, turn the blind eye, blatantly lie, or make a career out of debunking. So.
Oh yeah. Now, why do you think the mainstream science avoids this topic so aggressively?
Well, like I said, funding's a big part of it. Ostracization's another part of it. You look at the history of science, and we don't change real easily, do we? There's a lot of things that we accept now that at the time was heresy. So, and not just in a religious sense, but in a scientific sense.
Yeah. And have you ever encountered people trying to suppress your research or pressure you to stop, doing what you're doing?
Not with this. I've had weird things happen with my conspiracy research. That's for sure.
Right. There's always going to be haters.
Well, I've experienced more than haters with that. I think I had to sit down with a federal agent pretending to be a 9/11 truther. So I've had a lot of weird stuff happen with that. That subject is... Oh, and I know about people that were way up in that hierarchy of 9/11 truth stuff that were talking to whistleblowers, and she had a repairman stop by messing with one of her electrical boxes or something, asked him for a work order, and then he took off in his van and screeched out. She had another person recognize her from being in an Alex Jones film for 2 seconds, which was real strange. You know what I mean? She was like, what?
Oh, wow.
Hey, you're in that movie, aren't you? And she's like, what? Yes, but how in the hell? How would you remember that? That's crazy. It's not like she's even, her name's not in it. She's not in the credits. She's just a person in a crowd screaming for 2 seconds with a sign. That's it. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And how has Bigfoot research changed with all this social media and YouTube and TikTok? And you think it's getting better or worse? I mean, but you got to include AI also, because everybody's into this AI stuff now.
There's a lot of trash out there, but then again, there's a lot of people that are talking just like me and you and trying to be responsible and trying to lead the way on that kind of stuff. And so all I can say is that if you see the noise, try to criticize it, get it, tell people that they're not being careful enough and being silly or whatever in a nice way if you can. Or if you don't want to take people on directly, just do what we're doing and just try to promote the right kind of thing to do.
But do you think it's going to ruin it though? Do you think the people that are poking fun of it, making fake videos and all this, you think that, it's kind of like paranormal. You got all these fake paranormal investigators that are just in it for the money. They're making it so much harder for people that want to be real, and you want to be real. You want to show real evidence and real sightings, but you think these people are kind of putting a big old speed bump in between that?
I think it's something we've dealt with in these fields forever and that will transcend it. I'm just hopeful in that sense. But at the end of the day, it's going to go where it goes, Anything's possible. It's just sometimes you have to accept that you're just doing your part, and you can't control where the whole thing's going to go, and it might not end up where we want it. I mean, it's just like with AI, you know what I mean? It's unstoppable at this point.
And it's only getting worse.
Yeah. But I'm hopeful. I think there's enough, like, I know with the Bigfoot subject and the UFO subject, there's enough good research that's out there to where anybody that's serious about trying to find the truth of it, they will be able to weed stuff out pretty quick. So all we can do is just keep pushing that approach. Yeah.
And also, what do you think of like the commercialization of Bigfoot festivals, toys? I mean, you think that's helped or hurt the cause?
Yeah, I think it does help, and I think it's real fun. That Bigfoot festival was a blast. And there was a lot of goofy stuff there. There's a guy in a Bigfoot suit, and boy, he was tall. He was like 7 foot tall. Or who knows, maybe Bigfoot really made an appearance, and I just thought it was a guy in a suit. I don't know. But I've seen the basketball player for Rick Smits before up close, and he was 7'4", and boy, oh boy, you hear about that on TV, and then you see it in real life, and it's something else. And I'm not particularly short. I'm just kind of average, but yeah, he was. Boy, that guy was a giant. But yeah, it was so fun out there. But the cool thing is that's where the footprint cast of Patty was out there. So it was a good mix of fun and real stuff.
Very cool. Now, if somebody wanted to like, yeah, quite a few. But if somebody wanted to like start their own Bigfoot investigation, like where do they begin? I mean, does that all just stem down to like Googling like sighting areas and then just getting a
as far as like getting a lead? Yeah. BFRO has I don't know if it's the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO. I don't know if it's .com or .org, but it's easy to find. I have used their index of sighting reports, found what's close to me, and checked out those areas. On one of those times, I went down that road, and at first you're like, no, it couldn't be, but then it gets more and more country, and then guess what's out there? There's a store with a Bigfoot statue, and I think that's probably because people have seen it out there.
Now, what do you do about private property?
Yeah, that's a problem. See, like right here where I research a lot, where I'm giving this interview from, there is a nature conservatory. There's a nature conservatory, and there's a big, so it's a conservation area, but there's a huge mountain in the distance, at least a huge hill. It's perspective-wise, like if you're in Indiana, it's a mountain. If you're from out west, it's a hill. But it's all covered in trees, and then there's a little bit of wilderness, and then there's 4 lanes of highway, and then there's one of those other power line routes, and then it goes into private property on the other side of the road. But in that little area, you can look everywhere there. Now, national forest you could explore. That's public area. Private property, you're going to need permission, and you do need to be aware of that for sure.
All right. Now, what are some like common beginner mistakes for like new researchers make?
Well, like mistaking regular things for something that has to do with Sasquatch. You need, before you jump to any conclusions at first, you need to start to get your bearings in nature, especially if you're not real adept, if you're not a hunter or whatever. You know, you're going to hear and see things that seem odd that are really actually normal. So I'd say that's
kind of like the deer I mentioned earlier. You know. So
or me hearing deer fighting, clacking their horns together. You know.
Because I went automatically to Bigfoot, you know, and I didn't break it down and research it, and I didn't like study my animals, and I went straight to Bigfoot.
Right. I think another mistake you could say is that. Well, another mistake you could say is that people think TV is the way to do it necessarily. Like doing calls, that's fine, but there's other researchers who think that's silly and that you should be quiet, you know. So not everything, and quiet doesn't make for a good TV show.
Right. But, you don't want to chase it, and that's like paranormal. You got to be quiet. I mean, which can be boring. I mean, people aren't going to watch a half hour of silence. No. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, TV is TV. They have to make it entertaining. That's what you always got to remember. So.
Yep,
even when it's good or reputable people, you got people pushing on them to overreact and all kinds of stuff. So.
it's all script, like Ghost Adventures. That's all scripted. You know, they go in with the script.
I think they did get some good evidence early on, and they probably still get real evidence because they are investigating. But yeah, they're definitely trying to play it up for the cameras. And you heard his wife? What's this guy? Not Zach Bagans, the other guy. His wife recently tried to kill him. Got a murder for hire plot.
Aaron. Yeah. Aaron Goodwin.
Yeah, wild.
That's crazy. So if what are your top 3 states or regions that are like hotspots right now?
California, Washington State, and then as far as the other side of the country, it's a toss-up between Ohio and Pennsylvania.
And would you travel to any other state to investigate Sasquatch?
I have done that. Yeah.
And
I've been up
did
to
you have any luck?
No luck, but when you see trees compared to trees here, the trees in Pennsylvania look like twigs. I mean, those trees are ancient. They're so big. You could hide 3. I mean, shit, you could hide 5 Sasquatch behind one tree, not even see it. It's so crazy.
Right.
You know.
And then, how do you like doing your investigations? Do you like doing them solo, or do you like working with a small team? And if so, like, why do you choose one or the other?
I'm more of a solo person just because I think it's more down low, laid back. You're more likely to get some results. You're not, especially with ghost hunting, then you don't have to wonder if somebody else messed up or something, you know, because not everybody's going to be as careful. Go ahead.
But wouldn't you want at least one more person to validate that something happened, or to help document, or?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I take 1 or 2 people with me, but I like to keep it small. Is the best way to put it, I guess. Now they do have like Bigfoot hunts that like the BFRO will lead and stuff like that, and I would do that just to see the area. And I don't know if you're like, you know, 100 people. I don't know if you're likely to really see Bigfoot, you know. But
I hate large groups.
Yeah, but that would be fun though, just for the experience, I think.
Yeah, and then you can go back later on and do it with your little team.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you get to meet some of their top investigators too, you know. So.
Very true.
Hear people's stories.
Yeah. So how do you personally balance skepticism and belief in your own research?
Well, I'm a debunker of debunkers, so debunkers get stuff right sometimes. I do music too. While we're here, I might as well say check out #CrashOutAristocrats. But I have a song about chemtrails or geoengineering, and I say they debunk, but I debunk them more. So it's really an everlasting battle of trying to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Very cool. So now let's do some big questions. So, which could be funny, but if Bigfoot walked out of the woods right now and stood before us, what's the one question you'd ask it?
Can I take your picture?
And
I'll split the money that I make. I'll split the money that I make with you. Not that you can use money, but.
And do you think it can understand us, or do you what do they speak a language, or do they just make noise, or? No,
apparently they do have some type of spoken language. So the best we could do is try to talk in English and mentally try to talk to it. Maybe telepathy is the way to go.
Hand signals.
Yeah, sure. Body language for sure.
Flick them off
don't
and
raise
run.
your fist up. Don't raise your fist up. Body language is probably a big one. Yeah.
Right.
Don't show your teeth. I had one time where a monkey, I showed it my teeth, just smiled at it, and it got really, really mad. It thought I was being aggressive. So yeah, keep that in mind.
So start banging your fists on the ground like an ape.
Pound your chest. That's probably a good idea.
There you go. Then you change your heartbeat and collapse and get eaten. So,
and you become a 411 statistic.
There you go. Number 473. No.
I mean, you become okay. That's fine. Go ahead.
So what's the biggest truth about Bigfoot you believe, but that most people just aren't ready to hear it
that there is really good physical forensic evidence. Yeah.
So
that's it. I think
honestly,
most people aren't aware of that. Most people think it's all anecdotal.
And honestly, I can say I believe in Bigfoot. I'm a full believer of Bigfoot. The way my brother explained what he saw and the fear that came across him, he had fear. He didn't know if it was going to come over and flip the car. The other cars were they weren't even straight. They were going to try to go around and then just stop dead in their tracks. So there was
even if it is dangerous
cars.
though. If it is dangerous though, I don't recommend people shoot it. I mean, I think it's related to us. I think you'd feel really bad if you did that. I think it knows what a gun is, and I think you have to be a pretty good goddamn shot, because if you don't get it the first try, I think it's going to kill your ass.
For sure.
It's big, you know what I mean? If you don't get a headshot, I think it could take a few shots. People can take a few shots, So, but that being said, it seems to be like if you just back out slowly and mind your business, there's mostly never any confrontations. So, the missing 411 stuff, it's scary, but there's other aspects to that, a ton of them, which is he even made a movie called The UFO Connection. So. He didn't make a movie called the Bigfoot Connection, and I know that he thinks there's something else going on, like a predator type alien species or something. There's something way beyond just a primate, but that doesn't mean that Bigfoot's not in those numbers somewhere.
See, and that truck driver that seen Bigfoot near where I live, pretty much probably 25 minutes from me, said that Bigfoot was actually walking along the roadside and then stopped and looked at him, and this truck driver claimed he had glowing yellow eyes. So how in the heck can eyes glow?
There are animals that have eye shine, for sure, and that is reported, yellow or red eyes sometimes, so I think it's possible. It could be something more, but there's people that's at night where they don't see that. So what's it doing? Wearing sunglasses, So
yeah, I don't know.
It seems like an ability it could turn off or on. Maybe it's an intimidation type thing. People think that it's able to do what is it called? It's where it's a sound frequency that you can't hear, but it induces fear in you, like a lion. Like a roar from a tiger or a lion has these frequencies embedded in it that it's more than just the roar itself, I can't think of the word for it right now. That's going to bother me. Let me look it up. Infrasound? I can't remember. That might be it. But yeah, I'll look that up real quick. But you can ask next question. Or did I cover that one? Did I answer it?
Yeah. We're nearing the end right now, so now the fun part is the rapid fire now.
Yeah, infrasound, sounds with frequencies below the lower limit of human audibility. So yeah, and it can make people feel sick or scared and all that kind of stuff. So if it has that kind of ability to defend itself, maybe glowing eyes as an intimidation thing. How a lot of animals will look bigger than they are, they'll swell up, even cats, their hair stands up, their tail goes up, they arch themselves. So who knows, maybe it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, I've seen you get mad before, and you look like a bodybuilder, man. You were just swole and. No.
I was gonna say I don't know when that was.
Don't mess with him. Yeah. You ready for some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
All righty. So, East Coast or West Coast sighting? What's more legit?
West Coast.
West. Is that because you're from Pennsylvania?
No, we're east.
No?
West is out. West.
Oh, you're east. All right. Well, you're kind of northeast from me, basically.
But yeah, the West Coast states, Washington State and California, way more legit.
Mhm. So do you think? I mean, we've already talked about this one. Kill or no kill? What's your stance? You've already said no.
Unless it's literally running up, about to hit you in the face. But you got to remember that gorillas do bluff charges too. So
Right.
I would wait till the absolute last second. Wait till it's so close to you, up in your face, that you can shoot it in the face. You know.
Oh, that thing would smell so bad I couldn't even get that close.
Or pass out from the smell.
Exactly.
Wake up in a cave tied up.
Gonna start
oh my
throwing
God,
its shit. He'll start throwing its shit at you. No.
Keep you as a pet. Keep you in a little area. I was gonna say a cage, but like, you know, some rock structure they've built keep you.
Yeah. We're gonna be its pet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bigfoot DNA, real breaker or smoke and mirrors?
Not smoke and mirrors, not at all.
All right. So ever camped in an unknown hotspot alone?
Yep.
In a known hotspot, not unknown. And yeah.
Yeah.
And did anything happen?
It's known by me because I've found footprints there and whatnot. And it's near that power line route, so I was talking about. No, nothing happened.
So favorite cryptid besides Bigfoot?
Mothman.
There you go.
Good stuff. Go see the Mothman Museum. Go see the Mothman Museum. Or if you have VR goggles, you can do a VR tour of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Dogman, real deal or misidentified Bigfoot?
I think it's real. I think it's a werewolf, which is a well-known creature. You know. Yeah. I think it's a shape-shifting werewolf. I know that sounds crazy as hell, but I really believe there are shape-shifting werewolves. I can till this point still not. I can still say that I'm not. I have no reason to believe that like vampires exist in the true sense. So at least there's that.
Right.
Yeah.
So most overhyped Bigfoot hoax.
Oh, I guess it would be. See, this is hard because sometimes I think people have real evidence, but then they get attention from it, so they want to keep it going, and so then they fake stuff. So Todd Standing, it seems like some of his, like he has up close pictures of a face. The one looks real as hell. It's blinking. It looks real. You're like, that's it. He's got it. And then the other one looks like a damn Muppet. So he says the difference is one is female and one's not. And so, but I don't know because I have a cat, or my mom has a cat named Muppet, and he looks like a Muppet too. That's why he's named that. Like his face is he looks kind of not real in a sense, but he's definitely living, breathing. So I don't know. But then there's some that are like that one's questionable even a little bit. But then there's one where people took a miniature and put it it photographed it real close to the ground, to where it looked like it was standing in a swamp or something. And then there's another one where a guy had one in a freezer, and it turned out this was real hyped up in the news and stuff, and it was just a costume, just fake.
I seen that where that guy had the frozen stuff, and he would like bring it out and talk about it and display it, and then say, "Oh, I got to get it back in before it like melts." And
that's happened several times. There's happened several times. Some of them we don't know what the truth was, and we don't know where they ended up. But that one we know.
So, have you ever felt like you've been followed out of the woods by something?
I've been followed out of a haunted place by ghosts. We left an investigation. I've been chased out. We've seen a shadow figure standing on the corner, and I said, "Oh my God!" And he goes, "What? What'd you see?" I said, "I just thought I saw a ghost." He goes, "Where'd you see it at?" And he goes, and I said, "That corner." He goes, "Me too, man." Like he wanted to hear me say it before he knew.
Very cool.
So not my Bigfoot, I don't think. Although when I was in that area where we thought something was throwing rocks at us, I felt kind of followed then because we were walking up and down that road a little bit trying to look for people's houses, and we kept looking over our back, and then I think we found some footprints in the snow that we weren't sure if were ours or not. So
if you ever seen the rock that was thrown, would you ever would you not touch it and put it in a bag for evidence and see if somebody can get
I don't think I was able to pick up. I didn't even think of that at the time, but because it was a real scary situation. She had asthma, and we were worried that she was going to have an asthma attack out there, and they couldn't get to us forever. And it was snow. So if it landed in the snow, I don't think I found any of them, but that's a good idea.
Right. So the most underrated Bigfoot documentary.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Most things that are really good get the attention they deserve. I will say there's this company called something Gravitas. If you ever see a paranormal documentary and you see the word gravitas or gravitas, something like that, it's going to be trash. Just so you know, like it's just graphics that they create, you know, and like just goofy footage that goes along with the stuff. Although they've done better in some recent years, but. And who knows, probably some of my stuff is that level too. But shit, you know, it's hard to see your own stuff through the right lens sometimes. But yeah, but those are even still worth watching. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if anything's underrated really. There's this show with this anthropologist named Maria, and I can't remember what the name of it is right now. But they had she went out there with the idea that it might be real and. That it's a physical creature. There's even video of her getting bluff charged by a gorilla. Like, she's really been out there and done it. And they ended up getting footage of a Bigfoot through thermal that it looks like there's floating balls of light above its head. You know, so that show might be a little underrated. Maybe I can't even remember the name of it. Expedition Bigfoot, maybe, or I'm not sure because that might be the one with Josh Gates. But Josh Gates, he found
Expedition Unknown.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it is. I don't know. It's something. I wish I could remember it right now, but
no, you are right. You are right. I think I was watching Expedition Unknown, and they did have a thermal imaging drone up there, and they seen Bigfoot like running.
Yeah, no, I think that's something different than this. Yeah, no, the one I'm talking about is Expedition Bigfoot. Yeah,
oh, all right.
Yeah. So, and one of the people that's their main investigators is a anthropologist with a lot of experience with primates, so that's probably underrated a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We got one more question.
Yeah.
So if Bigfoot disappeared tomorrow, what mystery would you investigate next? Besides paranormal, because you've done it.
I don't think there's any paranormal subject or any conspiratorial subject that I haven't investigated, so I'm always looking for, I always tell people this, hey, all my conspiracy theories are coming true, so I need some new ones. If anybody's got some ideas, let me know. If it's got some theory I might not have heard, I want to hear it.
All right. So, yeah, that ends it. So, before I do the final reading, we can chit-chat a little bit if you want. So.
No, go ahead and close it out, and I'll talk to you after. So what you got? Is there
All right. Well, that wraps up this episode of Truth Tellers Radio. Huge thanks to JM for sharing deep insights and wild truth about one of the world's greatest mysteries. If you're listening and you've got a story to tell or a theory to share, reach out to us. And remember, sometimes the truth isn't hiding. It's just watching you from the tree line. Until next time, I'm Shane. And this is Truth Tellers Radio. Stay curious, stay brave, and keep searching.
Peace out, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.